The Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. Prior to signing the Emancipation Proclamation, President Abraham Lincoln signed into law legislation that, in July of 1862, authorized African American slaves to serve in the military of the Union States. This was a stepping stone to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Now, there's a question about whether Lincoln was operating within his constitutional authority in freeing the slaves in the rebellious states with the Emancipation Proclamation. The argument against Lincoln is straightforward. Nowhere in the Constitution is the President, or indeed the entire federal government, given any authority to abolish slavery. There's no delegated power that would permit the national government to interfere with slavery in the states that wish to have it.
Lincoln realized he did not have the constitutional authority to free the slaves.
So where did he look for this constitutional authority? He claimed the constitutional authority to issue the Emancipation Proclamation under his war powers. He said that this was an act that was required in wartime to disable an enemy that was waging war against the United States, and that was the justification.
Lincoln does not end slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation. It frees very few slaves. It allows those in territories of the national government to allow them to fight freely in the Union forces if they desire. So its impact is minimal at the time, but I think its message is what's important about it. That it sends the message that there is an equity issue here that will eventually be resolved. And I think Lincoln's sense of fairness, that blacks should be treated the same as whites, is the view that prevails. And I think that's why it's such a significant document.
He began to make it clear in the first inaugural address what he was prepared to fight for. And by the time of the Gettysburg Address, he really had, I think, made it clear what he was fighting for. He was fighting not simply to preserve the Union. He saw more at stake than that.
The original position of Abraham Lincoln on the Civil War was that it was a war to preserve the Union and not destroy slavery. That if Lincoln could have brought the southern states back without disestablishing slavery, he would have. It's only over a course of 3 years of hard struggle that emancipation becomes the central focus of Northern military concerns and concerns of the Union.
He saw in the United States the one hope for mankind of establishing the principle of Republican government, what he would call in the Gettysburg Address, government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Lincoln needed some impressive Union victories over the Confederacy first, before issuing the Emancipation Proclamation. Otherwise, the proclamation would have looked like an act of desperation